Welcome to the Sentimental Twist,
where two generations share one love for meaningful spaces and gracious hospitality.
I'm Brittany.
And I'm Melissa.
Let's gather around the table and talk home, hosting, and all things sentimental.
Yay!
Welcome back, y'all.
Yeah, welcome to episode 3. We already have 2 episodes.
We've been working.
Yeah, we have been working. I mean, everybody, I want to give a shout out to Brittany. We're a couple of weeks after the launch date, but we had a time getting that first episode uploaded.
Yeah.
We don't know what happened, but it wasn't our fault. It was something on the platform side that was supposed to share all of our stuff. It didn't happen, but anyway, we're glad we're here, and hopefully there'll be no more issues for the rest of this season. So we're so glad you're here. You can find us on the Sentimental Twist Podcast on Instagram, and you can find me at Home with a Twist on Instagram, Home with a Twist on YouTube, and homewithatwist.com is my website.
And I am at Brittany Shepard on Instagram and thesentimentaldecorator.com. And now we both have YouTube channels.
Yep.
So Melissa's is at Home with a Twist, just like her handle on Instagram and her website. Mine is a little different because my name was already taken. So it's Brittany Shepard TSD for the Sentimental Decorator. So Brittany Shepard TSD.
You know, what's interesting is that there is a Brittany Shepard realtor that spells her name exactly like yours.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when you, when I first created our Instagram page, it doesn't have any cache, it doesn't have any stored memory.
Right.
So when I kept putting in Brittany Shepard, I'm like, that's not my Brittany Shepard. Was she ever a realtor in a different life? So it took a while for Instagram to figure out it was Brittany Shepard, the Sentimental Decorator. So is the other Brittany Shepard that's on YouTube, is that the realtor?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, shoot.
I didn't look it up to see, but ironically, I grew up near another Brittany Shepard that spelled her names exactly the same, first and last. I was a pageant girl for a time, and we competed in pageants together, and we were in a pageant at the same time, and they were like, Brittany Shepard, okay, come up, draw your number for the competition, and we both walked up there, and it was like, wait, you're Brittany Shepard? I'm Brittany Shepard. And then we compared how we spelled our names, and it was exactly the same. No.
What's your middle name?
Dawn.
That's right. I was thinking your mom's name was Dawn.
It is.
Oh, so you got named after your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
It's my middle name, Brittany Dawn. My granny always called me Brittany Dawn, always.
Delta Dawn. You know that song?
Yeah. We sing it all the time. We still sing it.
Yeah,
I'm not Brittany Dawn. I'm Brittany Dawn.
Brittany Dawn.
Because I'm from South Georgia.
That song was originally sung by Helen Reddy, if I'm not mistaken. I know it's a Tanya Tucker song, but I think it might have been.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm not 100% sure.
That Helen Reddy sang it first, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, you know what? If you're listening and you know for sure that Delta Dawn was not Helen Reddy, send us an email.
Please let us know.
Yeah, it's the Sentimental Twist Podcast at gmail.com.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So this is our July 4th special summer edition, because tomorrow is July 4th. Mm-hmm. And we want to talk about how we decorate for July 4th and what are some memories we have growing up around the July 4th holiday when we celebrate it. So Brittany, you want to share with us what are some of your memories of July 4th?
Okay. So I am a coast girl. We live very close to the Gulf Coast of Florida. I grew up, it's about 2 hours from home. And where I live now, it only takes about an hour and a half to get there. And so Panama City Beach was our destination for summer vacation. And we almost always planned it around the 4th of July, but not always. But if we were at the beach, we were eating seafood, watching fireworks on the beach as a family. We always had so much fun at the beach. And it was, because we were so close, we would spend a whole week down there. My dad could come back and forth to work if he needed to. My mom was a teacher, so she was on summer break. So we most likely were at the beach for the 4th, but when we were not at the beach for the 4th, we were eating a farm fresh meal at my grandparents' house.
Oh.
I think I mentioned, that my grandpa on my mom's side he was a peanut farmer, peanut, cotton, corn, all the things. And my grandmother was the ultimate cook. And so we would have fresh peas and creamed corn, fresh tomatoes. I don't remember if the meat was a consistent meat, but I do remember pork chops from time to time, like either country fried pork chops or grilled pork chops. And then it would always conclude with some watermelon with salt on it, because that was my Papa Milton's favorite thing, was watermelon with some salt. So that was my 4th of July memory. But
Ice cream.
yeah, some homemade ice cream from time to time. My granny was known for her peach ice cream.
I was going to ask you if it was peach, because that is
Mhm.
like quintessential Southern homemade ice cream is peach ice cream.
Yes, and it was so good. And I've yet to find a way to, and I'm sure the recipe is written down somewhere. I just have to dig and find it. And I've tried to recreate it from time to time, but I don't often make homemade ice cream because I don't really need a ton of a big batch. But I do have a small batch ice cream maker that I got. So I might try it this summer, because it's time for me to give it another go and see if I can't track down the way she did it exactly. But, that was our 4th of July. We were at the beach or at our grandparents' house. My grandpa was a city commissioner for a while, and so he was always, patriotic times of the year he was on city commissioner duty sometimes. But, you know, decorating for 4th, your quintessential red, white, and blue. We talked about it a little bit in a previous episode about our summer decor, including patriotic, but now I just put flags here and there and make sure my front porch is decked for 4th of July. So,
You
what
buy
about you?
do you buy little flags and like stick them in your pots and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah. So for me, I have a couple of memories. My mother's childhood best friend lived in Vernon, Texas, which is near Wichita Falls. And we would drive in our motorhome. My dad was really funny. He did not like to sleep in other people's homes.
I get that.
And in particular, when we would go to Ruth and Jim's house, he didn't like to sleep in their house because Jim always kept the air conditioner. He was very frugal, and he would keep the AC set at like 78 or 79. And I don't know if we've talked about this in previous episodes, that my dad's job was outdoors. So when he would come home, he would want the air conditioner always set at a crisp 62.
Mm.
So the fact that he had to sleep at night with it on 78 or 79, and a few times he would sneak out in the hall and he would lower the temperature, not drastically to 62, but just maybe like to 75. He'd get back in bed and he could hear Jim come out and put it back up. So after enough times of them playing, tag on the thermostat, Daddy said, let's just drive the motor home and I can sleep in an AC, and then I won't have to feel like I'm bothering them with needing cooler air. So, which was grand fun. I loved sleeping in the motorhome. Nothing better than that. So they would always invite all their friends. They lived in Vernon is a very, very small town. So you knew everybody. So the Wrights would host a barbecue in their backyard, and they would have homemade ice cream and hot dogs and hamburgers and baked beans and potato salad, all the traditional, not the Southern yummy garden food that you had, but just this traditional, what you think of. So that's one memory that I have. I also have memories of sitting in those lawn chairs
I know what you're talking about.
that were straps.
Hmm.
And when you got up, like you were branded from the hips down the back of your legs in those striped lawn chairs.
Yep. Yep.
And then in the 70s, they came out with the ones that were like the plastic tubes that you'd sit in when you'd sunbathe outside, although I was never allowed to sunbathe because my mom didn't want me to get wrinkles.
That's good.
So that is my July 4th memory, is going to either Vernon or the public pool and swimming.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to start decorating my porch patriotic starting with Memorial Day, and then I just leave it up until after July 4th. So I bought a July 4th. It's huge. What's the name of that place that you and I like to buy a lot of our ribbons for wreaths and stuff?
House of Turnberry.
House of Turnberry.
Is that it?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
Haven House? Which one?
No, it's House of Turnberry.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, House of Turnberry. So for a long time, I had a subscription, and every month they would send you, the ribbon kit that you could use to supplement your wreath or put in a basket or whatever. Well, they came out with a really long bow that is a flag, and it kind of looks like it's been soaked in tea, so it's made to look kind of heirloomish.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that on a basket hanging on my front porch that I got at Ballard years ago. It's one of those baskets that's flat on the back
Oh, yeah.
and rounded toward the front.
Mm-hmm.
and I have it filled with, I think, red and white silk
Oh
geraniums.
my gosh. Okay, right now on my porch is a
Yeah.
basket just
Uh-huh.
like that with white geraniums and flags.
Okay, so see,
Mhm.
we're like,
Tracking.
yeah, we're tracking. And then for July 4th, what I like to do is just put little mini flags out everywhere, all over my porch. I don't have, my porch is brick, so I'd love to be able to put bunting up, but Mr. Twist doesn't like to put any nails or screws into brick. He's kind of like, that's bothers him
I
because I
get
think he
that.
thinks it kind of ruins the integrity of the brick. But I do like to put little flags and stakes, and I have red, white, and blue pinwheels that I like to put in my ferns on the front porch, and then they
Hmm.
spin when the wind blows. So that's how
Yeah,
I have.
that's so
I don't
sweet.
really decorate on the inside of the house for July 4th. It's just mainly my
Yeah.
porch. Yeah.
Me either. I might put some flag things here or there that I think I talked about putting them in a small ginger jar or something like that, blue
Yeah.
and white jar.
So if anybody that's listening, with all the people that are listening today, we would
Mhm.
love to hear how you decorate for July 4th, or how you like to celebrate. Maybe a fun memory, childhood memory that you didn't think about until you started listening to us share ours. So you can send us an email at the Sentimental Twist Podcast at gmail.com.
Yes. Would love it.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we're moving on to from our recipe box to
Yeah.
yours. And
Yes.
so each week we're going to share, or from time to time, we're going to share time-tested favorites, listener submissions, sweet or savory stories that make all these recipes worth passing down. And I know, Melissa, that you are the hostess with the mostest, and you have a lot of heirloom recipes that you share on your Instagram. So I first want you to share with us about some July 4th go-to recipes that you use at those summer's barbecues that you were talking about, or just when you're entertaining and hosting friends and family during the summer.
Yeah, so when I was early married, I found this baked bean recipe on the Southern Living website. And over the years, I have made changes to it to kind of adapt it for my own and for my own tastes. Because I like not a real sweet, but I like a sweet baked bean recipe. I'm not really a baked bean, like pork and beans, just, dumping pork and beans in a bucket. So, or into a casserole dish. So, what's unique about my baked bean recipe, and everybody can find it on my blog right now, homewithatwist.com. The full recipe's there that you can print it, is that it has, let me look at the recipe to be sure, it has 3 different kinds of beans.
Okay.
So, it has kidney beans, butter beans, and then a can of pork and beans. And now, if you're not a big fan of butter beans, then you could substitute it for something else. My husband's not a big fan of butter beans, but in this recipe, I think he's never complained.
Okay.
And I won't read the whole recipe because you can get it on my website, but it's your basic, you saute the onions and then you chop up some bacon. If you're vegan, you could leave out the bacon. And then if for the pork and beans, probably you'd need to get the vegetarian pork and beans,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously wouldn't be pork, it would just be beans. And you cook all that up. And then you're going to add your basic brown sugar. I like to use Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce because it's nice and sweet.
That's us, what we use in Alabama.
Yep. Molasses, Dijon mustard, salt, pepper, and chili powder for just a
Mm.
little smoky
Mm-hmm.
kick. And then you put the beans in. And what I love about this recipe is that you can make it up to a couple of days before your barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that actually makes it taste even better because the spices and everything have had a chance to kind of marinate. And then you put it in the oven, and you can do one of 2 things. You can either cook it for an hour at 350. I think it's 350. Yes, 350 for an hour, stirring halfway. Or you can set it at your oven at like 2 or 225 and then let it cook for
Slowly.
several hours and
Mm-hmm.
stir maybe a couple of times. And when it comes out, it's rich and thick.
Mm.
And I think one recipe will probably serve maybe 6 to 8 people. So
Okay.
sometimes I know if I'm going to have a crowd, I may double or triple the recipe.
Okay.
If I do that, then I usually make it in a Dutch oven because I know that that will hold it. But that is my go-to recipe that I've been making for baked beans probably for 20 years. So everybody can find that recipe on homewithtwist.com.
Yeah, and we'll put it in the show notes. We'll link it in the show notes as well
Perfect.
so you can find it quickly.
Okay. All right. What about you, Brittany? Tell us what your go-to recipe is for July 4th.
Okay, so
I'm
this is not an
excited.
heirloom recipe, really, but it is a recipe that my sister-in-law made on one of those summer beach trips a couple years ago. And now it's my go-to summer celebration meal, whether it's 4th of July or just a gathering. And it is called beach shrimp.
Ooh, I love shrimp. Okay, I'm totally leaning into this.
So we make it, I make it at least once a summer and typically around the 4th of July. And it's pretty simple. It's 3 pounds of shrimp, unpeeled, large, raw, and then a bottle of Italian dressing
Okay.
of your choice.
What
And
what do
then
you use?
I honestly I've used different kinds every time I've made it, I think. And I like the Newman's own
Oh yeah.
kind.
Uh-huh.
That one's good. I haven't ever tried any more specialty. I'd usually just get whatever's available in the grocery store, and honestly, maybe what's on BOGO at Publix.
Yeah.
So really, any Italian. I like the zesty Italian though. I want it
Okay.
to have some
A little bit of a
zestiness.
kick.
And then ground pepper and garlic cloves, pressed or minced. So you start by mixing all of that together: the bottle of Italian dressing, the shrimp, the pepper, and the garlic cloves. Then you put it in a big. I put it in a 9 by 13 deep baking dish. Pyrex makes the deep 9 by 13 pans, and spread it out in that. And then you squeeze 2 full lemons over top, and then you nestle the lemon halves down into the pan.
My mouth is watering.
Yeah, it's so good. And so then you sprinkle it with parsley, and you take a half cup butter and you cup it, chop it up.
Okay.
So, and
I should have led with butter.
butter. So then you dot the butter pats all along in the pan on
Yeah.
top.
Yeah.
Okay. And then 375 for about 25 minutes. Stir it after 15 minutes and check because shrimp cook so fast. And you don't want it to get super rubbery. But about 25 minutes on 375, pull it out, serve it with some crusty bread and a salad. And what we do is we take the whole pan, we put trivets on the table, and we put it in the middle of the table. And we have our plates with our bread and our side salad,
Yeah.
and we just dip and we have our little peel
Oh,
plate, and then dipping that crusty bread in that
that sauce.
Italian sauce.
Oh my gosh. Well, let me
It's so
ask you this. Why does it need to have the shell on it?
well, I think I don't know. I've always eaten. I think maybe it protects it from not overcooking for one. And
Okay.
I don't know that to be a scientific fact, but I've always eaten when I get steamed shrimp at the beach and things like that, it's always shell on because there's just something about the
Yeah.
seasoning. It seems to be more um, strong, bolder than if it were cooked already peeled. And so steamed shrimp bars, you're gonna get them with the peels on, and I think that's kind of the thing here. It helps the marinade sort of stay into the shrimp. I don't know. And it's just a kind of a ritual
It's just
about
kind
it.
of a ritual. The
Uh-huh.
peeling the whole. I used to live in Maryland for a brief time, and it was crabs.
Yep.
Your crabs, and you dump them on the paper lined table. It was just the whole like, you'd wear your grungiest t-shirt and shorts because you were going to get crab juice on yourself.
Yep.
And
This is a
yeah,
messy meal. I
yeah.
mean, the sauce is messy. So,
Oh, I can't wait to try that. That is so good. It's called beach shrimp.
beach shrimp, and I tried to find the link that we've gone to before that had the recipe, and the link is not active anymore so that I could link it in the show notes. So what I'll do is I'll just write it in the show notes because thankfully I had texted it to a friend who wanted to make it, and I had it in my text message history so that I didn't have to try to figure out the recipe because the link that my sister-in-law got it from doesn't work anymore. So
I guess you're going to have to now call it Brittany's beach shrimp.
that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
And there are several people that if I say, "Hey, you're coming down for the weekend, what do you want me to make?" Beet shrimp. So
Think you
it's
need to claim it since
it's
that
a go-to.
no longer
But
available.
sometimes I do, corn on the cob with it, and maybe some Conecuh sausage, which is an Alabama sausage brand. So it's kind of a pseudo country, low country boil, but not. It's like a beach shrimp boil, if you will, but you don't boil it all together like you do a low country bowl. But it's a good meal. It's a really good meal.
Okay, so I'm totally on board for that because I love shrimp, and maybe in an upcoming episode, especially for summer. I will share an heirloom recipe that's not mine, but it's from an heirloom cookbook that's for fried shrimp
Okay. I'll
and
take it.
use saltine crackers.
Mm.
It is the best fried shrimp. I don't care if if you think you have had the best fried shrimp and it's with batter
Bad. That's what I was gonna ask
or
about the batter.
cornmeal or whatever.
It's the saltine crackers is the
Saltine
batter?
crackers is the batter.
Oh,
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's amazing. So anyway, I'll share that sometime.
yeah.
But
Please do.
so, are you going to try to send this out in one of your newsletters?
I should. You know what? I should make it soon and put it in one of my email newsletters.
Yeah, because you can add a widget to your email that'll
That's
let
true.
people. Because I added that a few years ago. It'll let you. It's a recipe builder.
Okay.
I'll send you the information about that. That
Please
I
do.
haven't.
Yeah. And I think I need to do more recipes on my website. I don't do a ton because it's mostly decor related, but
Yeah, every
seasonal
once in a
things
while. Yeah,
make
and
sense.
especially your. What did you call your grandmother? Granny.
Granny.
Granny. Especially her peach ice cream if you find it.
If I find it, it will
I'm
definitely be
curious
shared.
with her. It's the thing about peach ice cream is I really don't like to bite onto a frozen piece of fruit.
Hmm.
Did she puree her peaches, or did you find that it had chunks of
It
peaches?
had a little bit of both,
Okay,
but not very many chunks. And they were small, like tinier than bite size
so it didn't
peach
make
cubes.
your cavities like jump off the
No.
for your tooth sensitivity.
Yes.
Okay, because I was in the store yesterday looking at ice cream, and I just could not find. I could not find. I'm not a big ice cream person. Period. I like homemade ice cream, but ice cream's not my go-to. So if you serve ice cream for dessert at your house, I'm kind of happy because that means I won't eat any. Not to be offensive, but I just don't need
Right.
the calories. Um, but ice cream and sherbet were a big thing back in the 60s and 70s as
Hmm.
for dessert.
We used to have ice cream socials at my little country church that I
Yes.
grew up in,
And
and so
everybody
there
would
it
bring
was
their favorite.
all homemade.
Oh my
Hmm.
gosh. Yeah, if anybody brought a store bought, they were kicked out. Um, but I'm tickled about did you ever used to eat Neapolitan ice cream?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that was my mom's go-to dessert.
Hmm.
And it used to be in a carton,
Hmm.
and she would take the sides down and then she would slice it. So we each got a pristine, beautiful slice of Neapolitan ice cream.
Of each flavor.
Yes. Instead of digging it in
Digging in.
with a ice cream scoop. Well, they don't make those cartons anymore. Now they're all in a carton that's not a pull
Plastic
away
tub.
carton, a tub. But I did find Tillamook yesterday. I don't know if y'all have that in Alabama. Okay, I've never had it before. I have no idea if it's even any good. But it was in a cylinder carton.
Okay.
So I think that if I defrosted it enough, I could invert
Squeeze
it
it out. Hmm.
and it could come out as a tube and then I could slice it.
Okay.
So that's going to be something I'm going to share on my Instagram soon about how to I guess what, disembark your ice cream from its container and slice Neapolitan. And she would add a little dash of whipped cream and then a sprig of mint.
Mm.
And it was just so elegant and like everybody got their favorite flavor. And I just have so many fond memories of Neapolitan ice cream. So
That's
anyway,
special.
yeah, very special. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Bless It. I had to share it,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
And this is the part of the show where we gush over things that are new to us or fun trends or just something that we think needs to be shared. And do you want to start, Brittany?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll share. Okay. There's something that happens when you are in your 30s, and especially when you hit 40, you really care about birds a lot. And I really love my birds in my yard and all the yards that I've had, especially in the last 5 to 10 years. And I just hit 40. And my friends have learned this about me. And so I have a new gizmo gadget that I want to share with y'all. It's from Lowe's.
Bird lady too. Okay.
It is the Feather Snap bird feeder.
Okay, I'm going
You
to
can
write
get
this
it
down.
from Lowe's.
Okay.
It's the top of the line. I will put a link in the show notes. It is great because, well, it has battery, but it also has a solar backup, so you never have to worry about that. It Bluetooths to your phone. You can watch it on your phone. It also, if you pay for a subscription, which I don't do, you can have an AI bird identifier to help you with the species. But it's just a really great bird feeder. Mine flock to it. They took to it. I replaced a bird feeder that I already had set up with it, so they knew there was food there. But immediately they started coming to it. So I shared a reel earlier this week about it, and I just love it. It's a great thing. I have cardinals are my favorite,
Yes,
obviously,
too.
because of the lore that's someone visiting you from beyond the life,
And
and so
here's
whenever I see birds, I always think cardinal birds, I always think of my mom
your mom.
and this special moment that I had with my best friend after my mother's funeral. Her dad had passed away sort of unexpectedly about 3 years before my mom died. And then we're driving on my brother's road back to his house after the funeral. She's driving me, and two cardinals just crossed in front of us on the road, and we both were like, "Oh," it's like her dad and my mom like reminding us that we're going to be okay. And so we just have this thing for cardinals. She gave me this beautiful cardinal snow globe that Christmas, that it's not just a Christmas display, it stays out every year because it's just sentimental. And then I have my bird families in my yard every year. I don't know if it's the same birds from year to year, but I pretend that it is. It's the same family living with me, and the daddy, the male, is I give them names, and they have the same name because I pretend they're the same ones. So the daddy is Big Daddy Red.
So Southern.
I'm not sure why I did that, but my favorite is the female. I call her Cardi B
Cardi B.
Car- for Cardinal Bird, but Cardi B, the
Love it.
music artist, whatever. So Big Daddy Red and Cardi B love the new Feather Snap bird feeder, and so I hope y'all will check it out because it's really nice.
I have to look that up because I asked for a bird feeder last year for Mother's Day. And I'm still waiting.
Well,
Yeah, my
hmm.
husband is not real good about remembering things, which is a typical man thing. And so this year, I knew that I needed to just let it go, that I wasn't going to get a bird feeder. I'd need to buy it on my own. So I wanted a record player. And so my daughter was on it. She was like, "We will make it happen. I'm so sorry we didn't get you the bird feeder last year." So now I can get the feather snap bird
Hmm.
feeder.
Hmm. It's a
And
really
what
nice
and
one.
is it because it's so special because it has where you can watch it on the video?
Yeah, well, a lot of these bird feeders are like that now, but this one, I just think it's a really quality one. It's easy to fill. It's kind of, well, squirrels still kind of want to try, but um,
But that's fun to
typical.
watch,
Yeah, it is fun to watch,
Yeah.
especially when they start falling all over the place trying to get to the bird feeder.
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't know, it's just fun. It's a good quality one that I got from Lowe's, and so I wanted to recommend it.
I'm glad you did because I'm in the market for one, and I know the perfect spot to put it in the backyard. It's a that I could set it down in among this kind of a climbing rose that covers the grass or covers the flower bed so that when the seed spills in there and makes weeds, you won't see it.
That's smart.
Do you get a lot of spillage with the?
Yeah, mine do. Yeah, and now that you're thinking about it, where I put mine is the perfect spot because it's where it's kind of a shady spot, and so there's a bunch of ferns that grow up over any of the weeds that
Yeah, so
may
you'll never
come
see the
from the bird
weeds.
feeder. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right,
Well,
what's your blessed?
my blessed is like 180 degrees away from yours.
Love that.
2 words.
Okay.
Benson Boone.
Oh, I love Benson Boone.
I do too.
I'm kind of a little bit embarrassed how much I love Benson Boone because I'm this 40-year-old woman and he's this like 21-year-old dude or 22-year-old.
Well, honey, I'm 60 and I just think he's yummy.
He is yummy.
Oh my gosh. And he seems like Taylor Swift has endorsed him to
Hmm.
say she's a huge fan and he's a very grounded young man who's, just, I don't know how he did. Was he on American Idol or
I
something?
think he was. I haven't watched American Idol in forever, but he was. And
I don't
did
think
he
he
like
was
drop out of it?
I was going to say, I
Yeah.
don't think he was eliminated. I think he left for
Hmm.
personal reasons or something happened. But I just really dig him. And it's not because he wears that really cute blue jumpsuit. I just really like him. And he was on Saturday Night Live not too long ago and he was really cute. But anyway, he has a new album that just dropped.
Hmm.
And I think it's called something's something American Stars or something. I don't know. But anyway, I
Yeah.
Googled it.
Uh-huh.
He's going to be in Fort Worth on September 20th.
You should go.
well, do you want to come to Fort Worth and go with me? I mean, that would be a road trip.
Let me check
for
my
you.
calendar.
That would be a road trip for you. And I don't know if you could get away from work.
That
But
time
here's
of
the
year?
other
Maybe
thing.
not. Maybe I could. Maybe I
Here's
could.
the
What day
other
of the week is it?
Well, it's September 20th. I don't know what that is.
We'll have to
It's
look
at
it up.
8 o'clock. Why do they do concerts so late?
Because young people go.
I am already in my pajamas and I've taken my makeup off. Of course, my bra came off way
Long
before
time ago.
that. Yeah, as soon as I walk in the door. But I just don't know, why can't they do, like senior citizen concerts for us age gals at 4 p.m.? Wouldn't that be perfect?
That would be perfect.
And then you can go get a bite to eat afterward if you want. Of course,
Hmm.
they need to have yummy, menopausal snacks, and then you wouldn't have to go out to eat. Then you could go home and just go to bed by 9. But
Hmm.
anywho,
But
and I think the tickets start at $300, which I just think is ridiculous.
that's crazy.
But
He's
anywho,
in demand.
look
But
and
he is
see.
a good entertainer. Like,
Yeah,
don't you just love his
his backflips, his
Yeah.
effortless backflips, and I just think he's adorable. So
Hmm.
check your calendar. If there's anybody
Okay.
out there who is in Fort Worth, it's at Dickey's Arena,
Okay.
which is a new place that we have concerts in town, which is really just like 10 minutes from me. So we
Okay.
could do an Uber. We wouldn't have to worry about parking. So
My
check
kind
your
of trip.
calendar. If there's anybody out there who wants to go see Benson Boone with me and Brittany, then
We could have
send
a.
us an email at the Sentimental Twist Podcast at gmail.com. But
Okay, I'm
that
looking at
is
what day of the
my
week it
tip.
is right
Thanks,
now.
dear.
Oh, it's a Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But it's
Perfect.
like I think you're like 12 hours away from me.
Yes, I've done that 12-hour drive quite a bit when Mom was out there for cancer treatments. So
Have you done it in
she was
one
in.
day?
Yes, I have.
Oh, I just can't do that.
I don't know. That was, almost 10 years ago now, and I didn't have to go pee as much as I do now.
Well, is there somebody you could stop and see along the way?
Yes.
At 6 hours, maybe?
I have a good friend that lives near Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay. All right.
So
Well, think about it. I know that you are a working girl, so you'd have to take probably that Friday off. But
Friday.
we could go see the concert. I could take you around Fort Worth to see some of the sights and could go eat at Joe T's, and then you could go home on Sunday if you wanted to.
I like that.
Okay.
And I might also just like see what flights are because I know that I could fly American from Montgomery direct, I think.
Oh,
So,
okay. Well, I want to come see you. For those of
okay.
y'all who don't know, is Brittany and I have never met.
Mm-mm.
We've only ever just become friends on Instagram. So I want to come see you and do the peanut tour
Okay.
to learn about the smell of peanut soil because we talked about that in one of our memories.
Yes. And my brother confirmed that I explained it correctly, and then he gave me all the sciencey terms that something to do with nitrogen.
That we
That
don't need
peanuts,
to know.
the peanuts, also, I didn't tell y'all, peanuts are legumes. They're not nuts. They're
Okay.
legumes.
All right. So if anybody's really allergic to nuts, they're really probably not allergic to peanuts.
Right. And peanut allergy is a whole different thing.
Right. Okay. Right. So I don't want to offend anybody out there, or don't come at me if you have a peanut allergy and you're because I don't know anything about peanut allergies. I want to be respectful of that. So, but I'm glad you clarified that a peanut is a legume. So that was in, I think, episode 1 or 2. We talked
One.
about a fragrance or a smell that takes us back in time.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about that. Okay. So anyways, feather, snap, bird feeders,
feeder.
and Benson Boone, which could not
Benson
be
Boone.
right. There's, what do they say? There's 6 degrees of separation.
Mm-hmm.
So there's probably something
That connects those
that
two.
connects Benson Boone with bird feeders.
Well, us.
There you go. We both love Benson Boone. Okay. All right. Okay. So we're going to move on now to sentimental traditions. This is the July 4th episode. So we're talking about summer and some summer fun traditions. So we're going to talk about summer movies. And what was your favorite summer movie? Because I think the 2 biggest times of the year that movies come out are the summer and at Christmas. I remember years ago when Bruce Willis's movie Die Hard came out at Christmas. That was like a blockbuster, and we still watch it on Christmas Day. And then a summer movie. So I want you to, I'm going to start this time.
Yeah, you start.
Yeah.
Yours is good.
My iconic summer movie is, I'm going to do the song. Da, 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 Joy. And I think June 20th was the date that it came out in 19 75.
Oh, 50 years.
So 50 years ago, I remember I wasn't quite 11. I was still 10. I was getting ready to turn 11, and my brother took me to see it. Probably not the best movie for a 10-year-old to see, but I don't think anyone realized that it was going to be as graphic as it was. It was pretty graphic for back in that day. But I remember being creeped out by it for several months. Anytime my brother would come to the house, it kind of that it would trigger me. And of course it triggered everybody going in the pool, going in the ocean. But it's just the best summer movie. And I need to go and get it to show everybody.
Okay.
Do you want me to go get it?
Sure. Go
Okay.
get it.
All right, so hold on.
Okay.
Okay, I did that in one of the last episodes. I had to go down.
That's your new thing. That's your thing.
My new thing is I go get stuff in the middle of the podcast. All right, so we took Mr. Twist to see the new Mission Impossible, which is really good. I want to go see it again. It was just so good. Can you see?
Popcorn bucket
Popcorn bucket.
for Jaws.
Jaws. It says, welcome July 4th. Regatta July 4th through the 10th, 50th annual. It's got the picture of his son, the shark, the gal that's swimming in the ocean. Little, it says, Island welcomes you.
That is so cool.
You get it filled with popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it was either $14 or $18, not sure. But then on the bottom it's stamped with Jaws 50th anniversary. So I just couldn't, even though the guy said, well, they're really technically not going to be for sale until the movie comes out again in July 4th. But he said, we've got them already. I'll go ahead and sell you one.
Well.
Because I was afraid they were going to sell out.
Mm-hmm. Did you tell him your story and convinced him?
No, he didn't want to hear it. So he was like 15 and didn't care.
Just wanted to go back to his
I
phone.
want to go back and see Mission Impossible again, and I'm going to buy the shark tumbler.
Okay.
It's got a shark head on the top.
Cute.
Yeah, and then they also had an actual shark head that opens and closes like this. I don't know what they put in it. I don't know if your meal comes in there, but it was like $60. I wasn't going to go that far. But I would love to do the Jaws glass because it had a Jaws head on the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so every year on my birthday, that is what we do. We watch Jaws and eat popcorn, and we sit outside and watch it on the TV on our patio and have movie popcorn. And so that is my favorite summer movie.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So what about you?
Well, first, before I tell you, I wanted to ask you, do you know this hot tip? I know AMC, but probably other theaters that you can DoorDash movie popcorn.
What?
Yes.
Are you kidding?
I haven't done it yet, but you can.
Oh, I'm going to totally do that.
So for your birthday celebration, see if you can't get you some.
There is nothing better than movie popcorn.
For real movie popcorn.
What do you like to eat with movie popcorn?
I just eat the popcorn, honestly.
Really? You don't have to have a companion item?
I don't.
My companion item is Junior Mints.
Well, okay, I do love a Junior Mint, and I only get them at the theater, which is very few and far between, which I'll tell you.
So I had a box. So our daughter Phoebe was in charge of getting movie candy. And then I said, well, when we get there, because it was one of those dine-in theaters, I said, we can all get something to eat, because that's kind of the part of the treat too, is to have your food delivered to your seat. But we got the popcorn in the Jaws bucket. And then I had like a Junior Mint, and then I had a few bites of popcorn.
Okay.
But there's something about once you get the Junior Mints at home, they don't have the same, I don't want to eat a whole box of Junior Mints while I'm binge watching a show. Mm-hmm. It's really just something I want to enjoy during popcorn sesh. So
yeah, I get that.
Thank you for the DoorDash tip. That's amazing.
Yeah. So check. It may not be every theater chain, but I do know AMC, and I don't know what theater chains y'all have out there, but
we have AMC's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Okay,
so for
what's
me,
your favorite summer movie?
Yeah, so fully transparent, I've never been a huge movie gal. I mean, I love movies.
Yeah.
But I mean, we went to the movies a lot growing up, but as an adult, I rarely go to the movies, maybe twice in the last 5 years. And one of those times was to see the new Little Mermaid with my niece for her first movie in theaters, and then a really terrible one right after I had my kidney transplant. I couldn't really go anywhere just to get out of the house. But I do love the experience. I just do not go often, and I don't know really why. But I will tell you, my July 4th movie memory was from one of those family beach trips around the 4th of July. And it was the week that Independence Day with Will Smith came out, the Alien movie.
Yes.
So, rarely at the beach do you have just a full washout week where it just rains the whole time you're there, but that was one of those weeks the year it came out, which I think was probably 96. Because I think I was about 11. I would have been 12 that October, and I remember relating it to the year of the Atlanta Olympics, and so that was 96. But it came out and it was raining at the beach all week. My brother is 5 years younger than me, so it was probably a little bit testy for him to go to this movie at 5 or 6. But
But where else was he going to go?
right.
You know?
So we went, and I just remember thinking it was the best movie ever. And I watched the trailer today, and I was like, wow, this was really silly plot. And, but, it
But
was so fun.
it was so entertaining, and I loved how Will Smith got so irritated by the alien they finally just shot him. It's like, shut up.
And then what does he say? Now that was a close encounter, or something like that. I just remember
The best, but it was entertaining.
it was. And a lot of those July 4th blockbuster type movies are like far-fetched kind of situations. And I think maybe as I've gotten older, I like more maybe realistic movies. I don't know why. But I remember my brother being a little terrified.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I like
But
not being able to sleep at night because he was worried an alien was going to.
but going back to Jaws about my bless my sweet little brother's heart, I'm just gonna tell on him a lot because we went to Orlando to Universal probably around the same time frame when he was 5 or 6, and one of the main rides is the Jaws ride there. And I guess they still have it. I don't know because that was 20 odd some odd years, 30 some odd years ago. But he was, oh,
He was like,
it was not good. It was bad. I mean, I was scared too, and I knew it was a mechanical shark, but it was still scary.
I think you could make a Jaws movie they tried to make some sequels, and I saw the second, I think I even saw the third and fourth one, and it was so stupid. Steven Spielberg was 27 when he did that movie. I think it was one of his first serious movies.
Hmm.
I mean, there's nothing like it. And we all know it wasn't real now, but back then that was special effects.
Hmm.
Now they would do a shark that was real probably, and it would just be gory and gross and not campy like it was. I mean, there's
Yeah.
nothing better. I'm sure everyone has seen this, but there's nothing better than that scene when Richard Dreyfuss is they're looking for Ben, the fisherman who
Hmm.
disappeared, and his head pops out of the hole and he's missing an eyeball, or it's on a string and the eye is floating. I mean, that will scare you out of your seat even
Hmm.
after I've seen it 50
Yeah.
years. But yeah, so that's funny. So Independence Day and
Hmm.
Jaws.
Yeah.
Okay. Love it.
I do too.
Yeah.
Okay, so speed round time, porch talk. This is super favorite. I just love
Yes.
it's so fun. So, do you want me to ask questions first this time?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, ready?
Yes.
Speed round. Okay, so porch talk, let me explain it. It's a speed round where we quick fire questions to each other and try to answer quickly as possible, just a little behind the curtain to get to know us and our histories and backgrounds and passions and interests a little bit more. Okay, ready?
I am, because I don't even remember what the questions are. So this is going to be good.
Okay, good. This is good.
Yeah.
All right. What was always in your grandma's fridge?
Buttermilk.
Okay. What was your first record album that you had?
Barry Manilow.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a
And
Manilow.
biscuits or cornbread, and what has to be on it?
Biscuits. I love cornbread, but biscuits, there's nothing better than a homemade hot biscuit. I like them two ways. Usually the first one I'll have, because I always have to have two, is butter and honey. And then the second one I'll have has butter and strawberry jam.
Mm,
Yeah, and I make some good biscuits.
okay.
Yeah, I have two different recipes. In fact, let me just say sidebar. Probably about, let's see, my brother passed away in 2011, about a couple of months after my dad. And tragically, he took his own life. So I'm a big advocate for mental health awareness
Hmm.
and suicide prevention and awareness. And so there's an organization called the National Association for Mental Illness,
Hmm.
NAMI, that does a lot of work in suicide education and prevention and awareness. And so I did a fundraiser where it was mine and Joanna Gaines's biscuit recipe. It was a biscuit bake-off. So everybody paid, I think, like $25, and that included 100% of that went to NAMI, and it included all the biscuits you could eat, butter, jam, and all the stuff. But your whole job was you had to come and judge to say which biscuit was best. And my biscuit recipe beat Joanna Gaines.
Well then.
Yeah, I'll have to look for those pictures and see. It might be an old blog post. Maybe I could, kind of update it. But
Find it.
anyway, my biscuit recipe won. There's a lot of my friends that have my biscuit recipe. It is so good. It makes kind of like a very light and airy biscuit, but the bottom is kind of like crispy because it's been baked in butter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my mouth is watering. So
I know.
okay.
I'm mine too. Mm.
All right. Okay, so let me ask you.
Okay, ready.
What was always in your granny's fridge?
A pitcher of sweet tea.
Sweet tea. Are you a sweet tea drinker?
I am, but I'm a half and half girl, or like a 3/4 unsweet, 1/4 sweet these days.
Yeah, I really embrace the whole sweet tea Southern thing, but I cannot. It's just too sweet for me.
It's too sweet.
I'm an unsweet with lemon and mint, but I can appreciate a good sweet tea.
Mm-hmm.
What was your first record album?
This one's Ace of Base was the first one I bought with my own money.
That's right, I forgot. You're such a child, but your stuff is going to be like 80s music, right?
Well, I mean, I guess
90s.
that was probably 90s.
What
Yeah,
year were you born?
I was born in 84, but that's the first one I bought with my own money. But I will say, fun fact, my first concert,
Base.
and this also will date me, but like in a sort of young way. But my first concert, I was 5 years old. It was New Kids on the Block.
Okay.
What was your first concert?
I get confused. It was either Barry Manilow or Neil Diamond.
Well, two awesome options.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously I'm dating myself.
That's okay.
Because what, 18-year-old would say nowadays, what their favorite. I mean, I went to those, well, let me just say, I was not allowed to go to concerts without an adult.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was like, hardcore, no, everybody's smoking pot, you're not going.
Which is probably true. She was probably right.
Right, but she knew I wouldn't smoke pot, so I don't know what her whole hang-up was about that. So I went to I think it was my sister-in-law took me to both of those, Barry Manilow and Neil Diamond. So obviously very G-rated.
Yeah.
I wanted so bad to go see Journey when I was in high school.
Mm.
Oh, my heart is still broken. My mom said, absolutely not. No way. But all my friends got to go.
Oh.
And I think they did smoke pot. So my mom was probably right. But anyway, if I had it to do over again, I would love. I did end up seeing Journey, but not until I was like 50.
Mm-hmm.
It was Def Leppard and Journey.
Okay.
Really?
And was it the original Journey singer?
No,
or
it wasn't Steve Perry. I think he just turned 78, by the way. Which, gosh, it's so old. Not so old, like, because 78's still young to me, but to think that Steve Perry is 78.
Right.
No, it was with the Filipino guy that they discovered that sounds just like him.
Like him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but I mean, New Kids on the Block, that's a great one to say that you got your first album.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready for the second one? Biscuit or cornbread, and how do you have to have it?
Okay. Cornbread, but not cornbread like you think. All right. South Georgia girl. Fried, lacy cornbread. And my dad's mom, by the time that, she didn't cook a ton. But my grandpa died when I was 4 years old, and so she really didn't cook a lot after that as much. But all family occasions, she was required to make the cornbread. It's just cornmeal and flour mixed together, and you drop it in sizzling oil, and you want it to be thin so that it laces out a little bit.
Because it wasn't just cornmeal and flour.
Well, hot water.
Hot water, that's it?
Just cornmeal, flour, and water.
What? No eggs?
Girl,
nothing?
Girl, nothing. And you got your oil hot.
Is it like a really, like a inch deep oil?
A little bit more probably, so then you mix it up. I make it all the time now. Well, not all the time, but for things. And then I use my little Pampered Chef mixing bowl that has the spout.
Yes, I've got one.
And so I just let it be thin but still thick at the same time. It can't just be watery. And pour it in, let it settle on the bottom of the cast iron pan. And then once it starts to firm up, it'll release. You want it to flip it and get it brown on each side, take it out, put it on a paper towel, sprinkle salt. That's it.
You're making them basically like they're a pancake.
But in oil, like where they are.
Yeah, so you're not filling the whole skillet up with batter. You're doing
No.
like individual little.
Mm-hmm.
So are they flat?
Yes. Well, and kind of fluffy because I've started using sort of the self-rising cornmeal and less flour. So they do get a little in the middle, a little puffier.
And then what do you eat them with?
It's your bread for your meal.
Yeah, but I mean, like, do you put butter on it or no? It's greasy
Just
enough.
salt. I'm telling you, it's a lost art form. I mean, our little country restaurants still do it,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but not a lot of people make cornbread like that in their homes anymore.
No, my grandmother used to, that's why she always had buttermilk in her refrigerator. It was to make either cornmeal pancakes or cornbread. Like the two, like that's, you didn't get like rolls from the grocery store, or she didn't make homemade bread. It was that cornbread was what you got.
Yeah, and this was my meemaw.
Your meemaw. Okay.
Yeah, so my dad's mom. And so that's like really her one main recipe because she didn't, like I said, she didn't cook much when I was growing up. We always went to the local like meat and three restaurant together called Helen's. And so that's my memory of eating with her. We would always go to Helen's for lunch, and she would always leave $1 tip and stick it under the salt shaker. But she would make the fried cornbread, at all of our special occasions. I specifically remember New Year's Day is when I mostly remember her making it, because you got to have that cornbread with your black-eyed peas, turnips, things like that.
God, we've talked about some great food.
I know. I'm hungry after every time we record.
And all I'm drinking right now is a protein shake.
I have ginger ale.
Before we move on to the toast, tell me how much flour and cornmeal.
It's just 1-to-1, so you just kind of determine how much you want to make. I usually start with half a cup each and mix it with water to the consistency I want, kind of like pancake batter, maybe a little thinner than pancake batter. And then if I need to mix up some more because I want to fry more, then I'll mix up more.
But it's hot water.
Yeah. Just warm tap water. It doesn't have to be boiling or anything.
So you like to use self-rising cornmeal.
Mm-hmm. So you don't need as much flour if you use a self-rising cornmeal, but if you're using the cornmeal and flour, just, your self-rising flour and cornmeal.
Oh, so it's self-rising flour.
You can kind of do it however.
Okay, so you're not going to make any mistakes.
No. There's no rhyme or reason, really. You just want to make sure that if you're doing it in a cast iron skillet, even with a nonstick, when you pour it in, it's gonna sink to the bottom and land on so you leave it until it releases itself from the bottom before you flip it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
Yeah. Because otherwise it'll get stuck down there and you'll have little crispy, crunchy things.
I think we should do a reel on this.
Is it bad? Okay. It's a messy thing.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Okay, those were great. I love this.
They were fun.
That's fun. We always learn something new about each other. Okay, we're going to close out the show with a toast to sentiment. And Brittany, that's you this week.
Oh, it's me this week.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked a lot about summer food in this one, and so mine is I'm going to set the scene for you in my granny's kitchen, Granny Ella. Summer was on the farm. Summer was my chores were helping shell peas, shuck corn to cream corn.
Raise it. Yep.
Putting up tomatoes with her. She made the best pickles. So I miss that. I miss doing that with her. I remember because, corn is so hot and you really need to do it outside, but we would just not be able to bear it some days. So we would she had this area in her kitchen that was more open towards the end of it. We would just lay newspaper out on the floor, and those lawn chairs that you talked about at your summer barbecue, we would fold those out in the kitchen and shuck the corn in the kitchen to stay in the AC with the fan. And the silk and all the things, it's messy. So the newspaper was on the ground to catch all that, so we didn't have to worry about being tidy while we were shucking the corn. But it was just one of those things. My mom, it was like the three of us. I was young, but I was always helping.
Yeah.
But the three of us, that was our jobs, and she'd put up the tomatoes. And
when you say put up the tomatoes, you mean she canned them?
Canned tomatoes,
Okay.
yes. Canned tomatoes, sorry. And we canned in mason jars, not tins.
Yes.
So, and her tomatoes, we'd have them all year long. She'd make tomato sauces with them. Or, even like that New Year's Day meal, one of my favorite things is we'd always have a jar of her tomatoes that we could add to our black-eyed peas. So
Oh,
add some tomatoes into the black-eyed peas. So I need to bring that back and do that more. Anna, my best friend, and I, we put up peas from time to time, not every year because between the two of us, a bushel goes a long way. But I want to do that more this summer, and I want to make sure that I remember how to do those things and write them down for my nephews and niece. And it always also makes me think about, we would end the day, or not end the day, we would break and have a really good lunch. Like Grandpa would come in, my Papa would come in for lunch from the farm. We'd stop and we'd make lunch, and it was always so good and fresh. And think about how he prayed over the meal. And then now my brother is sort of the patriarch of our family, and his prayers, the blessings over the meal, is always to bless the food to our bodies, the hands that prepared it, and the producers that grew it. And so I would like my toast to sentiment to be to the flavors of summer and the memories they evoke. So here's
beautiful memory.
it is. And I want to recreate that for my brother's children. So,
Yeah, and
but
so sweet.
yeah,
And do you have her tomato canning recipe?
probably.
Because we have so many tomatoes in our garden right now, and our neighbor brings us all of his tomatoes
Okay.
that we're getting to the point now where I don't want to throw them out. I want to can them, but I don't know how to can tomatoes.
Yeah. I will see what I can find and do the same thing with the peach ice cream and the tomatoes, see what I can find.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because I don't want to pickle them, and I don't think that's what she did. But what did
Mm-mm.
she do to preserve? I'm interested to know what the liquid was she would put them in.
It was the tomatoes, honestly. Because they produce so much
Yeah,
liquid. Gosh, I'm gonna have to
do some
really
research on that and get back to us.
dig.
Okay. All right, so we're going to close this week's show out.
That's all.
That's all for today's episode. We want to make sure that you, first of all, please follow us on Instagram at the Sentimental Twist Podcast. We would love for you to send us an email with your thoughts on today's episode, your input, answer some of our questions that we asked, or just tell us what you think, review us, give us a great review, follow us on
Mhm.
Spotify and Apple and on YouTube, just all the things. And up to this point, everyone has just been so lovely
Kind.
and so kind and so supportive. And we're already at over 100 followers on our Instagram account. So,
Thanks, y'all.
yeah, thank you so much. So we're going to close out and say thanks for joining us on the Sentimental Twist.
Where we believe every space tells a story.
And every story deserves a place at the table. Until next time,
Keep things cozy, collected, and a little bit sentimental.
bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all. See you next week.